Hello. Sorry about that before. My computer seemed to have had another epileptic fit, but no, I think I've fixed the issue now. So we should be all good, and the stream should go on unburdened, and probably about an hour. I get if not everyone can tune in for that. That's understandable. Anyway, just wanted to point out that when we left, well, not when we left, but when the stream bloody died, we had one more book left in this box, the first one that we opened, and it is the Kenobi novel by John Jackson Miller. Now, this is one of my favorite personally books with regards to the EU because it focuses on Kenobi as he goes into exile on Tatooine, but he's not like it's not all from his perspective. It's more from the villagers surrounding it, looking in on what Obi-Wan does. And it's a very interesting, self-contained story, not a part of a series, and it sort of just fleshes out what Kenobi did in exile, and it's very cool. This is again in mass market paperback, which, like I said, I don't entirely recommend, but it's what I had to do. So, by the way, you'll see that massive bookshelf in the background. I just realized I'm leaning the wrong way. The massive bookshelf in the background, I'm going to turn that into an absolutely legendary Star Wars wall. And when I do, I'm going to become supreme lord of all nerds and finally prove all other nerds that I am their king. If you want to stick around for that, subscribe. Anyway, moving on. We have the second, much smaller package. Not from Amazon this time. That last one was from Amazon. I'll have to move it back here. Again, just because Australians are famous for knives doesn't mean they're good at using them. That's why all famous serial killers do not come from Australia, at least for the most part. All right. The box is dead. Now, what do we have in here? Oh, now this is a good one. We have my personal favorite book of all time, written by James Luceno, a book that many believe to be the best Star Wars book ever written. We have Darth Plagueis, the original cover design showing Darth Plagueis and Sheev Palpatine as an apprentice on the front. This is the Star Wars book. If you go up to a person who claims they love Star Wars and they have not read this book, they are sacrilegious and don't trust them. Don't leave your kids with them because they will take them and just bad things will happen. But this is the book of all books with regards to Star Wars. I would say this is probably my favorite singular book that's not part of a series. James Luceno's best book, no question. And it fleshes out Plagueis in a way that's never been done before. And it's never going to. They can bring in J.K. Rowling, they can bring in any author of all time, besides maybe J.R. Tolkien. Tolkien could have done it very well. They could bring in any other author that's alive currently. No one could have fleshed it out in the way that Luceno did with the Darth Plagueis book. It is truly a landmark achievement with regards to writing. I remember the first time I read that, I was 11 and I was on an excursion at school. And my best friend, he bet me I couldn't read the book in a week. I read it in a week. I finished it halfway on the bus ride home. That is my life story. Subscribe if you want more. That didn't happen. Subscribe if you want more legendary stories from the Mythmaster himself. All right. Now back here, we have even more shit. Excuse me walking like a gremlin. It's my natural stance. That's a joke. We've got two packages here. Of course, I'll unbox them one at a time. These are surprisingly heavy considering their size. So either I've been scammed and there's a lot of enormous Beskar plates in here, or these books weigh enough to sink the Titanic. I don't know which one's more likely, sadly. Right. Yeah. There we go. Over time, you'll see my knife handling skills grow tremendously as I work not to stab myself. All right, I have opened the creation. Oh, now this is an interesting one, and I'll be doing an interview. I'll be doing like a review of this one on this channel as well as my other channel. This is a very it's a reasonably old book. It's one year younger than Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which is another book I also bought. It hasn't arrived yet. And it was the first EU book ever published in 1978. This came out in 1977, the same year as A New Hope, and it is the legendary J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion. Now, as many of my close friends know, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. Now, like, I don't think the Lord of the Rings, like, as a trilogy, or even the entire Legendarium as a whole that Tolkien wrote, is better than Star Wars, but I'd say it comes close because it's just got so much depth and mythology, and it's such a good book. I've read this before, and it is phenomenal. And the best part was this cover. And give me a second because dust cover, so difficulties. This cover is so symbolic of the main events in this book, and it's also portrayed in Unfinished Tales for those who have read that. This portrays the 9 ships of the faithful, led by Elendil and kind of Isildur and Anarion, riding away from the accursed and corrupted realm of Numenor. For some quick backstory for some Star Wars fans in the audience who may not know Tolkien lore, basically, in the Second Age, Ar-Pharazôn the Golden, who was the last of the Numenorean kings, he came to Middle-earth with a great contingent of ships from Numenor, and Sauron's armies went to fight them, but they fled at the sight. That's how intimidating the Numenoreans were. They actually fled directly from and abandoned them. They were more scared of the Numenoreans than Sauron. So Sauron, ever the deceiver and one of the most intelligent villains to ever be made, and made by one of the most intelligent men to ever exist, he submitted to Ar-Pharazôn, and in Ar-Pharazôn's arrogance, he took Sauron as a prisoner. Within a year, the man had made himself chief advisor to the king. Within a few decades, he converted him to the worship of Melkor, basically the personification of evil in Tolkien's works. And by the end of it, Sauron's hold over the king was so immense, he had convinced him to try to assail Valinor, which, for those who don't know, it's the Undying Land. It's the land of the sort of angelic beings. So the Maiar, the Valar, the Ainur as a whole, and Eru Ilúvatar, and basically the Flame Imperishable as a whole. This captures all of that. It's the big one, the Crusher of Dreams. This book is one that took me 3 times before I read it completely. And what I mean by that is, like, the language and the depth of the lore in this is absurd. Like, it's actually mental. And, like, I have a pretty good memory. For those really good friends I have on Discord, I have, like, a photographic memory. The names in this bloody thing is so difficult to remember. But I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, and we've got a lot more boxes, as you can see back there. This is an amazing book. I give it a 9 out of 10, and it is probably in the top 5 of the ones that I'm unboxing today. An absolutely amazing read. And if you're a Tolkien fan, if you don't have this, I will fight you. I have the knife and the plastic lightsaber to prove it. Okay, I really need to work on my humor. All right, now we're back to what I call the Big Chungus box because it's short and squat. Almost like oh my God, there's so many jokes I want to make, so little time. All right. those who don't know, this is how you cut open a box. You get the knife and you gut the thing. You get it, and as long as there's no valuable content inside, like your family's organs, you can just... Obviously, Star Wars books are far more valuable than your family's organs. So you just need to be quite delicate, but also rough to make sure you really make the box suffer for what it has done to you by refraining the Star Wars books of your literal dreams from you. All right. Oh, this is going to be fun. I can already tell. So we've got 6 books in here. 3 ones that are not part of a series and 3 that are. Now, the first one we have is Shadows of the Empire, which is a very good book, again in mass market paperback. It is personally one of my favorite books. It covers so many interesting stuff, and you can even see on the front there you've got the Black Sun, and the Black Sun are one of my favorite crime syndicates alongside the Hutts and their whole cartel. It's so interesting, and this book is criminally underrated. It gets a lot of hate for being boring, slow paced, a lot of stuff like that. And it's such a good book. And I may just be the king of nerds and the ultimate Star Wars fan, but I really like it, and it is deserving of a place on everyone's shelf, at least who's a Star Wars fan. Going to try to run through these next ones pretty quickly. Next, we've got the 3-book trilogy, and my personal second favorite trilogy of all time, the Darth Bane trilogy by Drew Karpyshyn. Now, this is the only book, in my personal opinion, excluding comics, in the new Sith Wars era, that's from basically 2000 BBY to 1000 BBY, and the High Republic era, until Darth Plagueis, of course, that is worth reading about 10 times. This trilogy is so in-depth, it's so interesting, because it shows a Sith as the main protagonist. We see that Bane, he grew up, he's such a compelling character, and the way he tricks Lord Khan into activating the Thought Bomb ritual after discovering it in the Rakatan Temple on Lahon in the Holocron of Darth Revan. It's so interesting, and the books are so in-depth, and they cover so much stuff, and it's so interesting at how it nearly went wrong so many times. Bane was nearly killed multiple times. He was killed nearly once on Dessun in the when he was uncovering the Holocron of Freed Nad, and he was killed. He nearly killed Xana after he was the Orbulus parasites attached to him, which ironically was due to Dixon, and it's not Dixon. It is Dxun. So I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I think I am, but I'm going to do it anyway. Regardless, very good books. They are, I would say they are my second favorite trilogy of all time. My favorite is one that many other Star Wars fans share, and we'll get to that one a bit later, because I actually have 2 I ordered, and I don't know if they're here, but I ordered 2 of the books from that trilogy. Actually, I ordered the 3rd one a while ago, and it still hasn't come, which is a bit of a shame, because I'd love to review it. And eventually, of course I will. I'll review all my Star Wars books at one point. Give my opinion, plot summary. We'll get more into depth as the stream goes on after I've reviewed all of it. But very, very good series. Highly recommend. All right, we've got 2 more. I'm going to go in my personal opinion of what I think is the best to worst. And it's a very difficult tussle-up. Both of these are in mass market paperback, by the way. And both of them are incredibly good books in their own right. I think I'm going to have to say that Deceived, a Malgus story, and in my opinion, the best of the Malgus storylines from his perspective at least, is the slightly worse book. Purely because I love this. And for those who don't know, Malgus is my favorite character across everything. Favorite Star Wars character, hero, villain, whatever. He is just the GOAT, in my opinion. The Muhammad Ali of Star Wars, if some would say. Malgus is the Vader of the Old Republic, and Vader is my second favorite character. Now, Deceived is an Old Republic story that takes place during and after the sacking of Coruscant. The sacking of Coruscant is the event showcased in the Star Wars The Old Republic trailer Deceived that shows Darth Malgus and Lord Adras, primarily they're the main generals, storming the Jedi Temple with a contingent of, I believe, 50 Sith Lords and like Sith warriors. And they basically go nuts. Malgus kills Venzalo, his wife, Alina Daru, who's a Twi'lek, who's very interesting. And not in terms of like a character, but her relationship with Malgus is extremely fascinating. And it just fleshes out Malgus a whole lot more. And this was one of the first Star Wars books that I ever read. I think Darth Plagueis was my first. Then I read Darth Bane trilogy, and then I read this. So this book is very valuable to me because it fleshes out my favorite character of all time. And I have a feeling that a lot of you, of course, love Darth Vader. And when we get to the Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, trust me, we will be talking about him a lot. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. Malgus is a GOAT. He is the GOAT of Star Wars, in my opinion. And I give this book overall, I'd say probably an 8 out of 10. All right, now we get to the last one. The one that beat out Deceived in terms of quality by a hair's breadth. We have Yoda Dark Rendezvous. I want to point out, I 100% could have got this in paperback, but this cover is so good, it deserves to be in mass market paperback. Like, sure, I might not be able to see the bloody words, but the cover is very, very nice. Like, as soon as I put this up on my enormous wall of Star Wars nerdiness, I will be able to get girls. This is the thing that gets girls. Like people say working out does. No, being a nerd does. No, I'm lonely and don't have a girlfriend. Anyway, next package. No, the boxes did not just all fall on the floor, and no, I'm not going to leave it on the floor for plot convenience so I can get on with the stream. All right, we have another box. We have a water bottle. We have a sore throat. We have a knife. I think you can see where I'm going with this shit. If I stab myself, I want my last words to be known as Star Wars is better than real life. Don't actually take that literally. All right, well, the box has officially been absolutely decimated, but I'm getting the book out. Australia, the culture of using weapons and knives. And yet I can't figure out how to open a fucking box. You know what? I'm ripping this shit open. There we go. Oh, now this looks good. Alright. Deviating a tad from the books, we have what is going to be, I am sure, the cause of what I believe is the cause of many teenage boys and girls, I believe, their immense sexual predatorianism, and that is Bastila Shan. Now, I remember when I told some of my best friends, and this guy's one of my best friends, I told him that I was getting the Bastila Shan action figure, and everybody knows Bastila Shan has a long history of being the most physically appealing Star Wars character to have ever existed. I don't want to hear Ahsoka Tano is hotter. She is not, and there is no debate. And if you try to debate me, I will put on the mask, so that way the authorities cannot find me, and we will have a lightsaber duel with my little plastic lightsabers that do more damage than a pool noodle. Anyway, we've got Bastila Shan in here, very great character. Revan's wife and the ancestor of Satele Shan, very, very cool character. And play Knights of the Old Republic if you haven't already. Amazing. Next, we have the man himself, Toothless in Star Wars, Darth Malak. Now, I have to admit, I kind of missed the memo on this one, and this ended up costing me about $100 because I just did not get it in time. I was saving up my money for a big spending spree, which, as evidenced by all the parcels behind me, that has kind of happened. And Darth Malak, a great character, and I can't wait. I will be doing an unboxing of this personally in like a shorter video eventually. I'll be condensing the stream down in an edited format later. But Darth Malak, as it says right here, he's a gaming great. And even though he has no jawline, and someone's going to make the Riz joke, so just do it. Just do it. I just do it. Anyway, now moving on. Even though he doesn't have a jawline, he certainly knew how to keep his chin up in the face of conflict. And to this day, his final quote to Revan will always be one of my favorite quotes across all of fiction. Right, just going to sit him over here. And on to box number 4, I think. It might be number 5, and if it is, I apologize. My math isn't mathing. All right. Now, which one should we choose? Yes, I am walking backwards. Do not ridicule me for it. I have lawyers. All right. This is a heavy box. Well, not really like heavy as in I'm sweating, but it's an interesting box. All right. Pretty basic. Very clear it's not from Amazon. So either we've been scammed, and again, there's dumbbells in here, like weights, or the books in here are so damn thick. Actually, you know what? I can't make that joke. That will get me fined a large amount of money. All right, let's just open. That was way too easy. It's actually suspicious. Holy shit, now this is good. Okay, from what I can see, I have a sore throat again, so I'm going to take some water. Water is the best thing that humanity has ever made. Well, not made. Holy shit, that is the dumbest thing I've ever said. Water is the best thing to ever happen ever, in my personal opinion. Anyway, in here, we have 5 books of varying degrees, including what is, to me, the most famous books in all of Star Wars Legends, besides maybe Darth Plagueis. I'd give Darth Plagueis maybe a close second to this. We'll get to those in a second. First off, we have Crucible by Tree Denning, the last book in the Legends timeline. And this is basically the book that was setting up a lot of the post-Fate of the Jedi Luke stuff, which we deserve to have seen. And I have so many theories about what was going on there. I was thinking about Mortis, the Celestials, like Null in particular, all those extragalactic cosmic threats that could have been done. This book takes place in 45 ABY, 45 years after the destruction of the first Death Star. And this book is very good. I like it quite a lot. I haven't read it in a few months, so I don't have, like, I have a photographic memory, but when you're memorizing all of this stuff, it comes a bit difficult. But no, in all seriousness, this book is incredibly good. I would heavily recommend it for like a hardcore Star Wars fan. It's definitely not for everyone, but a lot of the post-Endor stuff isn't for everyone. Like when New Jedi Order series came out, it received a ton of backlash. And I love New Jedi. I love the New Jedi Order series. I really liked it, contrary to a lot of people. But I do not power scale it high. And if you have seen my videos, you know that I do not have my power scaling of New Jedi Order era in particular. Besides a few characters, particularly Luke, Shimra, and Onimi, I do not have them reasonably high. And that has been the subject of much debate. Anyway, very good book. Let's get on to the next one. All right. Now, these next 3, I have a feeling we have to do sort of as like a quintuple. We have Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command, the Thrawn trilogy, the most famous Star Wars books to have ever been made. So legendary, written by Timothy Zahn, they were voted on numerous surveys some of the best Star Wars content ever, and it's so good that Dave Filoni has read Heir to the Empire, I think about a dozen times, in order to properly be able to adapt it and do the series justice. The Thrawn trilogy is your bread and butter of the Star Wars EU. You get started on this. You don't go in chronological order till you've read the majority of stuff. You start with the Thrawn trilogy because that's what virtually everyone starts with. All of them are New York Times bestsellers. All of them are amazing, and I don't think I could say much here without going really in depth because I just get absolutely lost in the story. But amazing books. I really like them, and I think forever they will always hold a special place in my heart. All right, moving on, we have the last in this box and definitely the heaviest. Now, this is the most expensive individual book that I got. It cost $170, and this was the cheapest listing I could find. I've wanted this one for quite some time. Jesus Christ. It is the Old Republic Encyclopedia. Now, this is one thick-ass book. Give me a sec. It has 351 pages, which is mental. All three visual dictionaries of the prequel eras, even including the one that compiles all of them combined, does not have that sheer quantity of pages. It's mental. It's mental. I have read this on PDF before a long time ago. I'm talking about a year and a half ago. I haven't read it since because it was so difficult to read on PDF. Because I had one of those small e-readers, so I couldn't get the whole scope of it. So when I was going on a spending spree, I was like, why not? It'll be worth it. And trust me, even though I haven't read it, I'm replaying Star Wars: The Old Republic now. I've already done all the Sith. Done all the Sith stories 100%, and I'm done nearly all the Jedi. I think I've Jedi Consular to do, and then I'm done. No, wait, Jedi Knight. I've done Jedi Consular. But this provides so much insight into the Jedi, the Sith, the Great Galactic War as a whole. Sith Emperor Vitiate, who many of you would know is one of my favorite characters, period. He's just a legend. He's a legend in all but name. And who cares he wanted to commit genocide on the galaxy? That's a good thing for him. Not for any of us, but it's a good thing for him. Oh my god, that is actually reasonably heavy. I'm not kidding. Alright, now we got the first of our big boys out of the way. Let's just move on to what was described as the book that looks most like me. Because look how skinny and tall it is. Look how skinny and tall I am. You see, it checks out. It's actually so tall it can fit in the camera without me even trying. Alright, let's just have a go. That was extremely clean. Extremely clean. Unnecessarily so. Alright, let's have a look at what you got in here. I have an idea of what this could be. Yes, that looks good. I have an idea of what this could be, and my suspicion, as usual, was proven correct. It is the three, one of them is actually in paper, in a presents format. So I'll be able to check because of the light. We'll be able to highlight through it. But we have the Star Wars Attack of the Clones Visual Dictionary. This was among the first Star Wars books I ever read. I read this when I was about 6 in the library at my public school. And I really liked it. So I decided to just jump the gun and get all of the 3 prequel ones. So next, we have the Phantom Menace one, which is being a nuisance and not letting me take it out. We've got the extremely attractive Padme Amidala. We've got the even more attractive Darth Maul and the even more attractive Jar Jar Binks. Not much to say, basically the same as the last one. Just provides sort of like some information and knowledge on the books. Not the books. It provides it on the movies and even has some hints towards the Darth Plagueis novel, which I'm not entirely sure if it was intentional. And if it was, brilliant. But I doubt it was, seeing as the Darth Plagueis novel came out over a decade after. And whoever sent this, oh my god, it's so adorable. Look at this. They made like a little bow. This is the Revenge of the Sith visual dictionary, the same as those one, but obviously for the best movie of all time. Look at this, so cute. Oh, I'm gonna open this at some point, but I actually don't really have the heart to do it now. It feels sort of like I'm gutting a wild animal, which is not a good thing. Don't do that. So I'm just going to put that one off to the side and move to our next package. Which one should we do, fellas? I've decided for you. Oh, yeah, much say. And there goes another box. Anyway, give me a second. Let me just stab this real quick. I already know what this is because I got a sneak peek of it because the box was partially open. This is the book series that is virtually synonymous with Star Wars. Like, when someone's serious about getting into the EU, this is the book series that someone normally recommends. After, I'd say, probably the Thrawn trilogy and the Dark Lord, the Rise of Darth Vader unofficial trilogy. This is the new Jedi Order trilogy. All 17 books. I'm not going to take them all out, so I'll just show you. Look at that. All 17 of the books are in here. From Star by Star to Vector Prime to one of my personal favorites, The Unifying Force. I will be doing individual reviews on all of these at some point in the future after I've reread them. I've read this series on PDF so many times. I've read it, I think, 4 or 5 times, if memory serves me correctly. I believe it's 5. Yeah. I've read it 5 times over the course of 3 years. And New Jedi Order, extremely, extremely good series. Criminally underrated and reviewed by everyone as not as good as it actually is. But the power scaling for this era, holy shit, it is an entirely new thing entirely. Oh my god, it's mental. Right, I'm going to put this one back over here purely for space conservation. And then we actually have a secret one, which I have been ignoring thus far, that is right next to me. Box number 37. I've been here for 33 minutes, and I've done about 8 boxes. That's what, like one box every, I don't know, probably like 5 minutes. I know the math's not wrong. I am very tired. I stayed up way too late organizing and sorting last night. So my brain isn't braining as it usually brains. I'm not entirely sure what's inside this, as with all the others, so this should be interesting. And I want to point out, let me know in the comments what you think about all this stuff. Like, what you think about this style of video to begin with. Like, sort of like analytical commentary. Like, I review this stuff and I give you my opinions on it. Obviously, it'll be a lot more brief as I do in the actual explanation. But I just want your guys' opinions. Okay, now this looks exceptionally stacked, like beyond so. Now, although I am a devout Legends fan and believe Legends is the lifeblood of all humanity, I have made some exceptions because I do think canon has some merit that needs to be shared. And the first way to introduce me that is the second Thrawn trilogy, also written by Timothy Zahn, also a New York Times bestseller. This is a collection of 3 books. The third one, which is for some reason not in my current site, that focus on Thrawn's origins and ascendancy through the Empire in the canon timeline. Personally, I think they did Thrawn in canon as good as anyone could have done. I personally think if George Lucas had made an Heir to the Empire movie, he would have done Thrawn in a very similar way to the way Dave did him in Rebels. Ahsoka Thrawn he was mid. He wasn't amazing, but he still had that menacing aura about him. And that was what everyone loved about Thrawn. He was a tactical genius. And amazing books. Not as good as the original Thrawn stuff, but incredible. Next, we have Dark Disciple, another canon book, which focuses on Ventress. Completely rendered virtually useless, besides the Ventress and Quinlan shippers, as they say. It's rendered useless by the fact Ventress survived and appeared in Bad Batch, because for a long time, it was believed she died in this. This was like the final Ventress story, and it was based on unproduced episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So, like, Dave had a plan for this, and then they just brought it back for the Bad Batch. I don't know what logic that was, and I don't think many of us ever will, but it's interesting, and I quite like it. All right. Getting the last of the, or I believe is the last of the canon books, nearly the last of the canon books out of the way, we have Dooku Jedi Lost, virtually the Tales of the Jedi adapted into a novel. This is such a good book. Dooku is one of my favorite characters, and I know he's one of everyone's favorite characters in all of Star Wars. And for all those people who say Dooku is just an old geezer with a lightsaber, fuck off. This is such a good book. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite canon books. And I haven't read as much canon as EU. I've read a great amount of EU stuff multiple times. But I really want to get more into canon while still retaining all of my EU identicism. And this is such a good book. And for people who want to get into canon, I heavily recommend it. Next, we have The Revenge of the Sith and The Return of the Jedi novelizations. This is the junior novelization. The actual novelization, which is the second best book of all time, in my opinion, is shortly and slowly coming on Amazon. It's not here yet. I was thinking of holding out and reviewing it, but I have the patience of an elephant sunbathing. So I really just couldn't. Both of these are good, not as good. Like, of course, the Revenge of the Sith novelization isn't as good as the actual novelization. Like, the junior one's all right, and it helps with post-Order 66 Sidious scaling a lot. But it's not as good as the one Matthew Stover made. And to be honest, in many people's minds, nothing could ever beat what Matthew Stover did. All right, we only got 3 more in here. Starting off with what I believe to be the worst of, like, the bunch that remains. We have the third, well, like, not the third, but, like, we have the third one that I pulled out of here of the second Thrawn trilogy, Thrawn Alliances. Again, I'll be posting my individual reviews of all these books. A very good book. I really like it. And it's just a good read. What can I say? It helped me get into canon. Aside from the questionable sequels, if you know what I mean. Next, we have the duet of The Rise and Fall of Darth Vader. Part of the unofficial trilogy, The Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader. Third one isn't here yet, as I explained previously. We have Labyrinth of Evil, and we have Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader. Both written by James Luceno, both absolute S-tier books. I'd say Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader is the superior one, but Labyrinth of Evil is so good. All this Clone Wars era stuff. For those who don't know, Clone Wars is my favorite era in all of Star Wars. The prequel era as a whole. It's the era I'm most knowledgeable in. It's the era that I enjoy the most. And it's the era that I come back to the most. For so many reasons. And I have a full video coming up on why the prequel era is just so good. These books, besides maybe the Darth Plagueis novel and the Revenge of the Sith novelization, are the best of the bunch when it comes to them. I love these books so much. It's so, like, it's absurd. These books were some of the first I ever read, besides the ones I mentioned previously, like Darth Plagueis. And these books will always hold a special place in my heart. That's all in this box. We have only, I believe, 2 boxes remaining. So, we'll do the small one first. Because you know what they say, the bigger it is, the more power it has, if you know what I mean. Sexual jokes. This is going to be so cringy when I rewatch it, but I don't care. Also, while I'm struggling extremely to open this, I just want to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. Like, I started YouTube back in 2019 when I was 9, and getting to this absolutely insane milestone was something that I always thought I would do, but not in this short of a time frame. I was stuck on 40 subscribers for so long, 3.5 years. And then I eventually came back to YouTube a bit over a month after one of my family members had a tragic accident, and he had always supported my YouTube channel. So it's sort of like an honoring in a way. And it means a lot to me, basically. A lot more than it would seem on the outside. Like, oh, 1,000 subscribers, you can make money now. It's never been about the money for me. Like, I could have transitioned to shorts a long time ago, but I didn't. Because I just preferred making the lore videos. And I still love making the lore videos, but at the end of the day, I want to make a career out of this. And sometimes you have to do things you don't like before you can do things you love forever. All right, now this is interesting. We have got some more Lord of the Rings stuff, not a book. We have got the Weta Workshop Gandalf Mini Epics figures. This is basically an animated Lord of the Rings, and I'm actually going to New Zealand soon. Not like in like the next few weeks, but like at the end of the year. And I 100% intend to bring this, and B intend to visit Hobbiton, because as I said previously, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. Anyway, not a lot to say here. It's a very good bust, and it's definitely going on the nerd wall back there. Next, we have Star Wars, the New Essential Chronology, a 2nd generation New Essential book. This basically maps out the entire history of Star Wars, like the entire chronological timeline. And it is such a good book for those casual fans who like the EU. So just let me get the box out of the way real quick. The casual fans that like the EU but aren't as dedicated as like people like me who want to read every form and source that exists, and other like YouTubers like legends. Like people like that, this is the book for them, and I highly recommend it. And I am going to be making reviews on this one in particular. This, I have a feeling, will be one of the longer ones. Very good book. All right, now we get to the last one. The biggest and heaviest, shockingly, of the bunch. Oh, it nearly doesn't fit on the bloody desk. All right, this is one. This I can't remember all of my Wookiee language, but I believe the Wookiee word for big ass box was or something like that, or I just said I am food to the Wookiee people. Give me a sec, I'll get there. There we go. Who knew a country full of knives would be reasonably skilled at using knives? All right. Of course, after this, I will end the stream. I might stream a bit later with one of my friends if he responds to my bloody message on Discord. No offense, that friend. Now, this is a big boy. This is big. You can see some of the stuff. Okay, now for some reason I have a second copy of Dark Disciple. I'm probably gonna use this in a giveaway. I'm not entirely sure. I need to figure out the ins and outs of a lot of stuff before I make a giveaway. But eventually I probably will, because at the end of the day, someone could use this a lot more than me. All right, now we've got that quick one out of the road. We have first Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. The only novel set 25,000 years prior to the Battle of Yavin during the formation of the Jedi Order. Great book, especially for those historians who want to learn as much about the Old Republic era as possible, and particularly the pre-Republic era. This is the book for that. And of course, the Dawn of the Jedi comics are also very well good, but in my opinion, I've always had a thing for novels, and they're always going to be superior to comics, in my opinion. Next, we have Darth Maul Shadowhunter. This is the Darth Maul book. I have another Darth Maul book in here that's nearly as good, but this one is phenomenal. And that is no under-exaggeration. I love this book so much. And to have it again after it was trashed in the mini flood, amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. Now, I'm going to do a quick all three at once. We have the Swarm War. We have the Darkness trilogy, basically. The Swarm War is one of the more interesting and controversial things regarding the post-Endor era, even more so than the New Jedi Order, I'd wager. It's good. It's not amazing. I'd say it's particularly good with characters like Unu Thor, who don't really get fleshed out in other sources, but really good with this. And I really, really like how it explored the Killiks and how ancient they were. But at the end of the day, it's more of a quirky story for those, like I said, really, really big nerds. It's a good story, and I'm always going to hold that opinion, but just not like top tier. Next, we have another canon book, and I believe this is the last canon book that we have. We have Phasma. Now, Phasma I haven't read in a very long time. I read this when I think I was about 8. This is obviously a book following Captain Phasma. It's been out for quite a while. Ever since Phasma sort of appeared in Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I believe this was released shortly after Last Jedi, but don't fact check me on that. I can't remember it as well as I do with Legends. A very good book. I've read it. Details are very vague at the moment, but from what I can remember, I really liked it. All right, now we only have 3 remaining, excluding this one. Maul Lockdown by Joe Schreiber. I believe I said that right. Another Legends book that is amazing. I love Maul Lockdown. Maul as a whole doesn't really have any bad books. He's just good all up. Of course, we have the dust cover and stuff. Don't take it off because it's just a blank screen then. But I really like this book, and I give it personally. I'll give it a review later, but I give it probably a rough 7 to 8 out of 10. Not as good as Darth Maul Shadowhunter, but good. I like it. All right. Then we have the last Lord of the Rings based thing, and this one is another heavy one. Unfinished Tales of Numenor and Middle-earth. Often referred to simply as Unfinished Tales. It's a collection of stories, particularly from Numenor, throughout the ages of the Earth, particularly the Second Age. Unfinished Tales shows us about like the Astari, particularly the Blue Wizards, but it's very, very interesting. And Tolkien, as I said, in my personal opinion, the greatest writer in the history of the world. And The Lord of the Rings is still to this day an unmatched work in all of literature. And I prefer the Darth Plagueis book over The Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings will always hold the most special place in my heart in terms of books. And Unfinished Tales really adds to it. And that's what I love about Tolkien's world. Every single thing adds to the story he originally created. He started with a small vision and then expanded to the point he created a mythology. Last 2, I'll do these reasonably quick because we're approaching 50 minutes. No one is watching. And I have a feeling everyone's a tad bored. We have Death Trooper, the closest thing to a Star Wars horror movie. Well, not movie, book. If they adapted it into a movie, Jesus Christ. And Revan. Both of these are really good books. Revan receives a lot of backlash for not being good and not like being good to Revan's character. I really liked it. I thought Revan's whole thing was... I like a whole Scourge thing. I love seeing Vitiate in a novel. It's like one of the only novels we get to see him where he actually has like a speaking role and isn't just mentioned. Revan, essential Legends collection, no doubt, amazing. And then the final one we have is Death Trooper. And I'll review this one later. It's a very good book. I really liked it. Not as good as some of the others we reviewed, but definitely deserves a place on the shelf. I really like it. Closest thing to a Star Wars horror story you're probably ever going to get, besides maybe the new Jedi Order series, because the Yuzong Vong are scary. But it's very good. I like it. And just like that, we're done. Tell me what you thought. Tell me what you thought of this stream. It was sort of an impromptu stream. I've been waiting for a week to do it. I've been preparing. Sorry for the delay again. That was not my intention, but I felt a bit sick, hence me constantly needing to get more water. So I hurt my throat. So still dealing with that. I feel like fine, so don't be like worried or anything. But I really like all of these books. I'm so happy that I bought them. I'm really annoyed the floody thing, I know the water trashed the rest of them. But at the end of the day, I'm so happy I got to review them all with you, and I really wouldn't trade that in for anything in the world. Like getting on here and talking to you guys, I feel like I'm having a genuine conversation with people who get me, which I know a lot of you might not be able, would be able to sympathize with. A lot of nerdy people. Wouldn't say don't have a lot of friends, but they're not the most popular. And when it comes to finding people that who get stuff that I get, it means a lot, and it's really valuable to me. And these experiences, like one live stream, may just be 51 minutes and 39 seconds for you, but it's something I'll treasure for the rest of my life. So, my friends, that is where I'm going to have to leave it. I face revealed, I talked about books, I acted like a nerd. Next time, that entire back wall is going to be decked out with Star Wars stuff. But, my friends, I'll see you in the next one, and may the Force be with you.